Hi, my name's A.T. Wiltz, and I'm filling in this week for Dan Drake. Today we have the lovely Joy Margolis. I didn't say that right, did I?
It's fine.
It's fine. And she is the managing director at the Corner Table, so we're going to talk about that and a few other things. How are you today, Joy?
Fine, thank you. So the big correction I have to make is not to my name.
Oh, no.
It is that we are just not the Corner Table. We are the Nantucket Culinary Center.
That's true. I was going
And
to work into that.
absolutely, but that is one of my biggest jobs as the managing director there, is to teach and eventually show people through those floors that are above the Corner Table to
Right.
connect them to what you have downstairs.
And I've seen the second floor, and
Yep.
it's really magnificent,
Yes.
very modern and up
Yes.
to date, and
Yes.
very classy.
Yes.
But before we get into that, I
Yes.
wanted to ask you, because I'm going to ask all my guests this, how did you come to Nantucket?
Greg actually and I had spent about 3 years apart after we had started dating. And so I went to New York City and lived in New York, and he stayed in Colorado. And in that time I'd been in New York, I went to Nantucket and a lot. And he got a job offer to come out to work at Toppers as their
Right.
AM sous chef. And he said, Joy, will you get back together with me if I take the job in Nantucket?
Aw.
And so I said, absolutely. So we moved out. He did in April, and I joined him shortly after. And then he asked me to marry him in August, and we got married in October.
And you have little ones.
2 littles, 5 and 7-year-old, Max and Zella.
great. That's great.
We've been married 10 years this year.
Congratulations. Congratulations. What is that? Is that like... I'll find
his
out. I'll
mother
find
will
out.
know.
His mother will know.
His mother will know. She knows all the paper and the gold and the silver and all
Right.
the different ones that are each
Right.
one. Yeah.
That's great. And how did you first get interested in cuisine? Was that also through Greg? Or
Yeah,
had
it was
you...
through Greg.
Yeah.
It was through Greg. I met him originally out in Hudson Valley. He was at the Culinary Institute, and my family, my mother's family, was in Rhinebeck, which is right nearby. And so I was working at a local family business there and met Greg, and we together went to Colorado, and then, like I said, we had a few years apart.
Right.
But he grew up in a foodie family. I did not. I grew up in a farming family, apple orchard family in Washington
Oh,
State.
nice.
So very different than what he grew up in Philadelphia, right outside of Philadelphia, and very much his father was in cookware, and very much a food family.
Right.
So I've learned that from
Were
him.
you in Western Washington, like in Yakima Valley?
I was in north of there, Wenatchee Valley, which
Oh,
is called
Wenatchee.
Central Washington.
Right.
So right in the actual center of the state between Seattle and Spokane.
It's so different that people
So
don't
different.
understand.
They
that
do not.
There
They think I live in Seattle.
right.
It is
It's
no.
night and day.
Night and day.
Night and
So
day.
yeah, Kashmir, Washington is really where I'm from. Cashmere, like the sweater, Kashmir.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
All right, so tell us about the Culinary Institute. I stand corrected.
Well, you still
Or the,
stand
the
corrected.
Nantucket Culinary Institute.
The Nantucket Culinary Center.
Culinary Center,
22
sorry.
Federal. You know, honestly, we've gone back and forth a lot with the name. We really wanted to, and we still are going to learn how to bring these 3 very diverse floors together. So as most people have been through the Corner Table,
Right.
the cafe. There's a lot of misperceptions. I heard a woman giving a tour a few days ago in the building, herself giving her own friends a tour.
Yeah.
And she said, and all the food here is cooked by the high school students. The high school culinary program. And I just was thinking, oh my. So of course, I gently went over and said, hey, hi, I'm Joy. And actually, that's not exactly the case.
You're so
mostly
close,
because the
but-
Board of Health, that would not work.
Yeah.
And second of all, because the student program there is in development. You know, we
Right.
would love to eventually work with the high school students, but they would not probably be in our commercial kitchen cooking food. They would be there as stewards during cooking classes. They would work as baristas. They'd learn about how to handle money at the counter.
Right.
We're not a facility. If you want to become a professional chef, we're not your facility.
Right.
We're there. So the cafe is all food that my husband's making up in the commercial kitchen. We have staff, of course, that are helping. And it really grows out of a real, I was thinking of this talking to Greg last night and thinking about talking to you today, AT, that Greg he's a feeder. He always has loved to feed people.
Yeah.
This is his chance. So he gets to spend a lot of time obviously we have the soups and the salads that he's making in the jars, but the sandwiches and things, it's all about people having food together. That's always what he's loved. So the Grab and Go has some things you can have for dinner. Has a lot of desserts. We have two amazing bakers that are
And they look so healthy and so organic. I was telling someone else about this,
He's
and they
trying
were
to keep
so
organic.
thankful
Yeah.
to, you know, and I'm not sort of a huge organic person, but I appreciate the
He's more
work and
local.
sourcing,
I mean,
the
really
local
what he's
sourcing
doing
to
is
it.
local.
Yeah.
I mean, Pumpkin Pond Gino has been coming in from Pumpkin Pond all winter, bringing in tomatoes, and they've been, you know, he brings in these huge kale and Boatyard Farm. We get our eggs. We try to get all of our eggs from Boatyard Farm, but you know, again, it's just the idea that. Whatever can be grown here, Greg would love to buy.
Right.
And he's trying to adapt his menu
And,
in that
and
way.
I'm also very glad because I think we have to mention that Wendy Schmidt is sort of behind this whole thing.
I'll tell you how
and
she's
the renovation
behind it.
of the building
Absolutely.
was
So
great.
that's the building situation is such that a couple of different things transpired in order for Greg and I to land where we are. One is that there was a lot of surveys being done of visiting groups, students, different. I think that there's a lot of talk of bringing more people over here in the shoulder seasons. And one of the things that they asked them was, what's missing on Nantucket for you? And a lot of them are underage, they're not drinkers, and what they really missed was a evening cafe, a place they could hang out that was comfortable, that brought them around a table instead of around a bar. And so that was kind of percolating in Remain's thoughts as they think about bringing people to Nantucket on the shoulder seasons, offering options for students to come here, talking about what our community needs. So I think that one of the pieces that seemed important to Remain was that we continue to think about where our food comes from.
Right.
And one of the ways that Wendy has studied and had gone and done cooking classes in Europe, and I guess it's very popular in Europe for you to go on a retreat or a vacation and you take cooking classes, you eat together, you know, around the table.
And you learn about what's there locally in that little part of France
and
or
you
wherever
work
you are.
together
That's
to
wonderful.
create a meal. So I think that the Mooney building came up at the right time. It was one of those right time, right place kind of thing. So they had already had a vision for what that 22 Federal would become or could become. They'd already started working with experts on, you know, creating the building, creating the cooking spaces, and then they put that little RFP out in the newspaper saying we're looking for operators. We have a lease with them. We're not employees, and our mission had to match with their mission. And I think they had around 11 or 12 groups apply for this, and we went through a lot of interesting conversations with Wendy, with Remain Ventures, who is the organization that actually creates this. And they studied our proposal. We had a 26-page proposal that we submitted saying how we felt like we could bring our passion to this building.
And I think I'd like to also thank them for, you know, sourcing it to a couple who has been here for, you know, 10
years.
12 years.
I mean,
you know, a local couple that knows the island.
Win-win.
You know?
Win-win.
Yeah, I think that's
I mean,
great.
in every way, our mission, and it wasn't even hard for us to write our 26-page report. I mean, it was hard because it's hard to put down budget numbers and finances, and we put together a board of directors that I felt I could call on a local group of people who, you know, Kate Brosnan, Wendy Hudson, strong women and men who understand business here.
And have had this experience of
and
working
I could
on
say,
boards.
what do you think about this? You know, we don't have a board, but we have a group of advisors. And I've only actually called on them a few times. They're all too busy. No one wants to actually come to a board meeting, but what I wanted to show Remain and show them, you know, more than just Greg and I, we have a team of people, and we are happy to be, I'm happy to ask for help, and I have. I call Kate sometimes driving in the morning and just say, you know, how do I handle this? I mean, this is a huge learning experience.
Sure.
So the building is Remain's building. We have a lease with them to operate both entities. So the cafe was really bred out of the need for a year-round open, into the evenings, healthy food, comfortable place, lots of Wi-Fi, a place that isn't dominated by making the next buck. What we're really trying to do is allow people to sit
or
and be
loud
together.
big screen TVs.
Everyone just sits, and you know, we have people playing games, Battleship. People are on vacation. They're like, I haven't played Battleship in years, and I see them in there, you know, a professional couple playing Battleship. I mean, that's really what and my kids are in there playing Pokemon. I mean, it's what it's for.
Right.
The top two floors, if you don't mind, I'm going to skip to
by
that.
all means,
So
by all
the
means.
top two floors have been our most interesting in the way that we knew we would have the most challenge in some ways, because it's undefinable, because there's two floors that are built for throwing parties. built for cooking together.
Wonderful.
And it's not a real usual, we don't have it yet in our society here yet,
Right.
at least on Nantucket. And so it's been a little harder to explain. But the concept is for people to come in, learn about food, learn about how to prepare food, move upstairs, cook together, and then eat together.
So it's not your typical American cooking class where you watch the chef do everything, and if you're lucky, you get a bite of it at the end.
No.
This is where you all learn, you watch the chef, the
do it.
techniques, and then you are upstairs doing it.
Right.
The meal gets prepared, and you all get a big plate of food, and you sit down and enjoy
Yes,
dinner
there's a
together. That's
buffet and
wonderful.
you sit down. I mean, we've done a couple of different kinds of hybrids where people have thought that their guests, they've wanted to throw a 60th birthday party. They invite 12 of their friends. They assume that most of them may not want to cook. So Greg will prepare everything. He'll demo what they're going to eat. He talks about Boatyard or Moore's End and talks about where the food, why they're eating kale in the winter, why they're not eating strawberries, they're eating chocolate mousse. Like, why are
Right.
we eating seasonally? It's because it's not available. And then they go sit down and in the dining room, and then we serve them. So there's some different models, and that's why I'm saying that these 2 floors are the most challenging, is because it's really only limited by your imagination, but sometimes it's hard to be imaginative.
Right.
So we've been really trying to help people with menus and saying, how many people do you have? That will dictate where you're going to be in the building.
And how many can you accommodate? What's the...
We can accommodate 30 sitting kind of in classroom style in our demonstration kitchen. So the demonstration kitchen is set up like a Rachel Ray or any of these, like an actual cooking stage. It has
Right.
great light. We have 2 camera feeds to capture feed.
Oh, wonderful.
And we have a camera that feeds right down onto the stovetop and broadcasts.
So you've got the mirror, that funny
Not
mirror
even a
up
mirror,
top?
a gorgeous TV. So the camera broadcasts down, right, captures exactly what the chef is doing. So we have people coming in for mozzarella making or canning. We'll be able to fit 30 people to watch that. That's a different kind of class. They're not going to
Right.
be getting their hands dirty. They're going to watch, and they're going to be learning about those 2 local endeavors here, which
Right.
are great. Greg taught a superfoods class. Same. We wanted to get the capacity of people in. We fit 30 people in. They don't fit upstairs. So, we all sit, you watch, and that is kind of more of an American cooking show,
Right.
but it was really an educational time. And then we can fit 14 upstairs in the cooking classes, and that's crowded around 2 islands, so not even crowded, standing around very comfortably 2 kitchen islands with a nice big butcher block in the middle. It's handicap accessible. It was built for wheelchair accessibility as well, which
wonderful.
is really
Yeah.
great. The sink is as well, and the stove. And that's for 14 people to cook together. And so Greg they work together on one part of the meal. They usually make the dessert first, so it can be chilling. Then they go over and they make the soup. And then while the soup is going, he's already started to have them help truss the chickens that are going in the oven. He's
Wow.
really, really good at
Yeah.
running these classes, and I don't know. We just started. I mean, he really just happens to be a natural. So about an hour and a half later, the buffet is set up. You've prepared all your food. You get your plate, and you go into the dining room, which fits 14.
Oh, my goodness.
And so that's become a really popular. Because people, I think, in some ways are maybe a little tired. I know I'm tired of going out to dinner with, this is covered with this sauce, and I like simple, good food, and
Yeah.
that's what Greg is teaching
Well,
people
it's
how to do.
dinner, it's a show, you meet new people.
Absolutely.
Because this isn't necessarily, I mean, I could book it for 12 of me and my friends.
Yes, but you could also
But I can
come.
just sign up and maybe I know 1 or 2 people. The rest, it's
you would not
meet
believe
people.
the people that people are getting together. So all winter we ran these Tuesday supper clubs, and we're going to continue them through the summer. And that's just a chance. You buy a ticket. You come in. We greet you with some libations and cheese and crackers. And Greg usually is up there getting your dinner ready. You meet, you chat, everyone gets to know each other. He talks a little bit about what you're going to eat, and you sit down together. And that's been a real popular way for people to get to know each other. People are leaving friends, and they ask
that's
me
great.
the next day, can I have an email address?
How much do these classes run? Both the traditional class and the make a meal class, if I can define
Oh, I
it
like that.
way.
Make a meal. That's great. I need
Feel
you to
free
come
to
in.
use it.
Would you come in and do some copy editing for
I
me?
will
You should
be
see
happy
me trying
to.
to set up these classes and these names.
Absolutely.
So we have been playing with that. We're really, actually, honestly, since this is our first year, we aren't real sure. What I have done so far is worked on my labor costs, my food costs, add a little bit in, and hope that that's going to cover it.
Right.
That's been what we've been doing. So for most of Greg's classes, they're ranging between $80 and $100.
Okay.
For a sit-down meal, we're in the $125 to $35 range. What we have been doing is that's included all the alcohol, all the tax, and all the gratuity.
So
in
it's
your
it's
meal.
actually very comparable, but
It
you're
is.
learning,
Absolutely.
being
Absolutely.
entertained, and you're meeting new friends.
Right. Absolutely.
So I mean, it's
This spring we started to develop a new little program for your first drink is complimentary with your class, but if you think you're going to have like more libation, we're going to charge per glass. And we
Sure.
have a really very light, easy wine menu. Nothing crazy, just we have a few house wines and beers. So if you have a special party and you decide you want to have some certain wine you want to bring in, or you want to have Greg do a grilled flank steak with, or some filet mignon, we're flexible with the pricing.
Sure.
But we knew that we really needed to charge right around 100 this winter to get people in the door, to get our folks in.
Right.
And I think as we move into the summer with more and more requests and requirements, we're in the 135 to 150 range.
Absolutely.
Especially when people are spending a lot more time. Greg sometimes is with people almost 5 hours.
Wow.
And so that's
a long day for him. I mean, he
'cause
starts
in the
early,
morning
right?
At the cafe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really working on valuing his time, valuing people's requests, and moving with that.
Okay, and finally, just for getting back to the cafe for just a minute, what are the hours?
7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay.
And we're
And that's
allowed
every day of the week?
Every day. We're in the summer. We're going to be able to stay open until 10 or 11 because there's no alcohol and there's no
Right.
outside music. So we're really pretty flexible with our time, and we can stay open longer.
That's great.
The exterior, the patio, is also part of the cafe, so that'll never have alcohol.
So they're going to have tables out
Oh
there?
yeah, we have a big.
And they
huge,
also a couple of bike stands there. So
the
you
bike
can bring
stands are
bikes.
moving.
Okay.
Because they're taking up our eating area right
Well,
now.
there's always places to park your bikes. Though.
Absolutely. No, we have 5 bike locks that were part of our LEED certification. So the building has been applied for a LEED certification and meets every energy requirement, bikes requirement, green space requirement. Really working really hard on that piece of it. But the outdoor seating is going to be a big part of our summer commitment to
Sure.
having people gather around. So
No,
it's a
I love outside tables.
a big,
Nothing
big,
better.
really big red table, which is going to kind of match our logo, going right down the center. A couch and chairs, and then a lot of tables, small tables under the pergola.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much for
Thank you,
coming
AT.
in,
Had
Joy.
fun.
I'm not
Really
going to
fun.
go for her last name again.